The first time you boot up Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2026, something strange happens. Not because the game looks outdated, not because the controls feel clunky, but because your brain instantly realizes this game is not in a hurry. And that realization hits harder today than it did back in 2018. In a world where modern games rush you forward, flood you with markers, rewards, and noise, Red Dead Redemption 2 calmly sits there and waits. It waits for you to slow down, and if you don't, it quietly punishes you for it in ways you won't even notice at first. That alone tells you a lot about the kind of game this still is. I've been playing games for decades. I've seen graphics evolve, systems get deeper, worlds get bigger, and attention spans get shorter. I've also seen many so called masterpieces age badly once the tech moves on. Red Dead Redemption 2 is not one of those games. It has aged in a very specific, very rare way. It hasn't become smaller with time, it has become heavier, emotionally, mechanically, and mentally. And that weight is exactly why it still matters in 2026. The core gameplay of Red Dead Redemption 2 is often misunderstood. On the surface, it looks like a standard open world third person action game. You ride horses, you shoot guns, you complete missions. But that surface level view completely misses what Rockstar was actually doing. This game is built around friction. Almost every action takes a little longer than you expect. Looting a body is slow. Skinning an animal takes time. Riding across the map can feel endless. Even opening drawers has weight to it. In 2018, many players complained about this. In 2026, it feels intentional in a way that modern games rarely attempt. The controls are heavy, yes, but they are consistent. Arthur Morgan doesn't move like a superhero. He has momentum. Turning takes time. Stopping takes time. Animations play out fully. Once you accept that the game is not fighting you, but asking you to inhabit a body, the controls start to make sense. You stop tapping buttons impatiently and start committing to actions. That shift changes how you play everything from gunfights to simple exploration. Combat in Red Dead Redemption 2 is not flashy. It's not about complex combos or insane mobility. It's about positioning, awareness, and pressure. Gunfights are loud, chaotic, and often messy. Enemies don't politely line up for you, they flank, they panic, they run. The cover system is simple but effective, and Deadeye is still one of the most satisfying slow motion systems ever created, not because it looks cool, but because it reinforces Arthur's growing experience as an outlaw. Early on, Deadeye feels limited and rough. Later, it becomes precise and deadly. That progression is subtle, but it matters. Gunplay itself has aged surprisingly well. Weapons have weight, recoil matters, reload animations are long and vulnerable. You can't magically carry every gun at all times, which forces real choices before missions. In 2026, after playing so many games where weapons are just numbers with skins, Red Dead Redemption 2's approach feels grounded and refreshing. Every gun sounds different, kicks differently, and feels like a tool rather than a toy. The world design is where this game truly separates itself. The map is not just big, it's alive in a way that still embarrasses many modern open worlds. Towns have routines, NPCs remember you. Weather changes how the land feels, not just how it looks. You can ride through the same area at different times and have completely different experiences without any scripted events triggering. Wildlife interacts with itself. Random encounters don't feel random once you realize they're tied to systems rather than timers. Exploration in Red Dead Redemption is slow by design, but it's also deeply rewarding. There is no constant dopamine drip, no endless checklist begging for completion. Instead, the game trusts that if you wander, something interesting will happen, and it usually does. Sometimes it's a stranger with a story. Sometimes it's a ruined cabin with a quiet tragedy inside. Sometimes it's nothing at all except the sound of wind and hooves. That emptiness is part of the experience. Side content in this game deserves a special mention because it really feels like filler. Stranger missions are often more memorable than main missions in other games. They're personal, strange, sometimes funny, sometimes devastating. They don't exist to give you loot, they exist to show you different sides of this world. Hunting, fishing, gambling, bounty hunting, and camp interactions all feel optional but meaningful. You never feel forced into them, but ignoring them means missing a huge part of what makes the game special. The RPG systems in this game are understated but effective. Arthur's progression isn't about skill trees filled with percentage boosts, it's about habits. How you play affects who Arthur becomes. Honor isn't just a meter, it changes how people treat you, how the story frames your actions, and even how Arthur sees himself. Weights, health, stamina, and deadeye are tied to behavior, not menus. You eat, you rest, you fight, and the game quietly tracks it all. Choices in this game are rarely binary or obvious. You don't get big pop ups telling you that the story has changed forever. Consequences unfold slowly, sometimes hours later. In 2026, when many games still struggle with meaningful choice, Red Dead Redemption 2 stands out for trusting the player to notice changes without being told. The story is where this game truly becomes something else. Red Dead Redemption 2 is not a power fantasy, it's a story about decline, about loyalty, denial, and the cost of refusing to change. Arthur Morgan is one of the best written protagonists in gaming, not because he's clever or heroic, but because he's human. He's flawed, tired, angry, and slowly becoming aware of his own mortality. His journey is not about winning, it's about understanding. The supporting cast is equally strong. Dutch is not a cartoon villain. He's charismatic, intelligent, and deeply broken. Watching his ideals collapse over time is uncomfortable because it feels real. The gang members feel like people, not quest dispensers. You hear their fears, their dreams, their regrets. Camp conversations change as the story progresses, and if you pay attention, you can feel the mood shift long before the plot forces it. One of the most impressive things about the narrative is its pacing. The game is long and it knows it. It allows moments to breathe. It lets you sit with consequences. It doesn't rush emotional beats. In 2026, when many games are afraid of losing players if nothing explodes every 5 minutes, Red Dead Redemption 2's confidence feels almost rebellious. Visually, the game still holds up incredibly well. Even without modern ray tracing upgrades, the art direction carries it. Sunsets feel warm, storms feel threatening, and interiors feel lived in. Character animations, especially facial animations, remain some of the best ever made. In close up scenes, you can see exhaustion, fear, and hesitation without a single word being spoken. The music and sound design deserve as much praise. The score is subtle, often barely noticeable, but it knows exactly when to step forward. Certain musical moments hit harder because the game has been so quiet for so long. Ambient sounds, from insects to distant gunfire, make the world feel real. Voice acting is consistently excellent, with performances that still stand above most modern games. Technically, the game has aged better on modern hardware. Load times are faster, frame rates are more stable, bugs that once annoyed players are mostly gone. It's not perfect, but it feels more polished now than it did at launch. That's rare for a game of this scale. Replay value is an interesting topic with Red Dead Redemption 2. This is not a game you replay every year. It's emotionally heavy, it demands time and attention. But when you do return, you notice things you missed before. Small lines of dialogue, foreshadowing, character moments that hit differently once you know where the story goes. It's a game that rewards patience and maturity. Of course, it's not flawless. The mission design is restrictive. Rockstar's insistence on doing things exactly their way can feel frustrating, especially in a world that otherwise feels so free. Some systems are overly detailed for their own good. The pacing will turn some players away, even in 2026. And that's okay. This game was never meant for everyone. What matters is that Red Dead Redemption 2 still has something to say. It still challenges players to slow down, to pay attention, and to accept discomfort. It reminds us that games can be quiet, sad, and reflective without being boring. Its legacy is not just technical achievement, but emotional honesty. So, how does it rate in 2026? On a scale of 5, it earns a solid 4.5. Not because it's perfect, but because its flaws are part of its identity. It's a game that knows exactly what it wants to be and refuses to compromise. That confidence is rare, even now. Red Dead Redemption 2 is not just a classic, it's a reminder of what happens when a studio takes its time and trusts its audience. If you've never played it, now is still the right time. And if you have, you already know why it's so hard to forget. If this review helped you see the game differently, give it a like. If you enjoy deep, honest gaming discussions, subscribe. Share this with someone who still hasn't played it, and let me know in the comments what Red Dead Redemption 2 meant to you.